Hey, so in this video, we're going to talk about how to select an estate planning attorney to work with. So I'm Paul Rabalais. I'm an estate planning attorney. I help our clients get and keep their legal affairs in order. And look, by the way, you can tune in to this YouTube channel every day at 10 a.m. Central Time. I'll be posting new educational information that you can soak in as you attempt to protect what you have for yourself and your family and do it the right way. All right. Had a busy day today, I got to tell you. You'll see the dark window over my left shoulder. It's late at night, and just back to back all day today. Started a couple of new probates on a couple of individuals who passed away last month. Working with a family. We had set up a living trust for a parent. The parent died. The son was so impressed how things went so smooth once the parent died, they wanted to set up their own trust. So worked on that for a while. And then another family who, first words out of his mouth were, I want to protect my estate from the government. I don't want to lose it if I go to a nursing home. So had that to deal with another new client. Very fortunate to have just a phenomenal couple of people that I work with that help me get and keep all of these clients, legal affairs in order. All right, so let's get back to how to select an estate planning attorney to work with. I've had more than a couple of requests and comments to other videos about suggestions on how someone can select or find or be comfortable with, an estate planning attorney. So bottom line is there's several factors that I'm going to go through that you should take into consideration before you select an estate planning attorney. I'm also going to tell you, I don't want it to sound like I'm tooting my own horn because, I just don't want it to sound that way. A lot of the people who will be watching this, they can't hire me anyway because we get a lot of people watching this, from states where I'm not. I'm in Louisiana. A lot of people watching this, California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Florida. So I hope it doesn't sound like this is just a sales video on my part. All right, so let me go through the factors that you should look at, and I'm going to be as objective as I can. So one of the factors that you should look at is does the attorney that you're considering working with to get your estate in order, do they practice, regularly at a minimum, if not exclusively, in the estate planning area? In the estate planning area, there are a ton of little nuances, and unless the lawyer works in that area on a daily basis, then it's likely that they may miss something. So you want to work with somebody who practices regularly or preferably exclusive in the area of estate planning. If they're also doing the car wreck, lawsuit, and they're doing the divorce, and they're doing the commercial litigation, they're just not devoting perhaps enough time to helping people get their legal affairs in order. They may miss something. All right. Second thing is experience. Experience, I think, is really necessary in the estate planning area. Although I will tell you, there are a lot of lawyers out there with a lot of experience that are just flat out jerks. So experience isn't the only factor that you should consider. But I know from my own experience, I went to law school, and then after law school, I went an extra year, master's degree in tax law. But really, 95 at least percent of what I know wasn't from law school. It was from the years of experience of people coming to me with objectives and problems, and then me working with them to solve those problems and set things up in a way that satisfies them. So that all comes from experience. So experience is another, I'd call it an important factor to consider when selecting an estate planning attorney, and really not just experience in things like the drafting of wills and trusts and powers of attorney that make the kind of beginnings of an estate planning program, but also experience in taxation. So I had a client come to me last week said, Paul, my dad and I went and saw this other attorney in town We just didn't get a good feeling because we asked them about the tax consequences of certain estate planning strategies, and he said that we'd have to go talk to a CPA about that. So, in estate planning, you got a whole bunch of different areas that are affected by setting up an estate planning legal program. So when I say they need to be well-versed not only in wills and trusts and the drafting of legal documents, but they also have to be well-versed in the tax effect of all of those things. And when we talk about taxes, there's the gift and estate tax, there's the capital gains tax, there's the income tax, there's the property tax. And then another area on its own is how retirement accounts are taxed. At the moment that I'm making this video, 6 days ago, how retirement accounts are taxed got turned upside down. So need to work with someone who's familiar with all of that. Not only all of that, but you need to work with someone who understands long-term care Medicaid eligibility and all the strategies that you can take effect. I find not most estate planning attorneys, they don't want to do that, or they're not familiar enough with it to give really good advice. Property law is another area that affects estate planning, and then of course probate law is another area that affects estate planning. So experience in all of those things is really a must to get the kind of advice that you need. Another area that is a factor is fees, and then there's flat fee lawyers and there's hourly rate lawyers, and I would say fees is not shouldn't be the most important factor by any stretch. In fact, there's a saying out there that says nothing is more expensive than a cheap lawyer. So, at least work with a lawyer who's upfront about the fee structure and how that works, so that you're not whammied or surprised at the end and get a bill or a notice or an invoice that was completely from left field, unexpected. So you need to work with a lawyer who's upfront about that, and so that's just another factor. The lawyer's education is another factor. So I would say it's not at the top of the list as far as the factors. Whether the lawyer went to Harvard or whether he went to the state law school, I don't know that really matters. I would say experience matters more than that. Are they polite? Are they prompt? Are they punctual? That, of course, is very important. Are they organized? Do they do what they say they're going to do? I would say that's probably more important than where they got their degree from, or how many letters they have at the end of their name. So another factor that I think is really, really at the top of the list as far as the importance of it is asking family, friends, neighbors, and coworkers. So what other people who have used a lawyer say about that lawyer, I would, and they're objective, I would say that's, high on the list. So when you talk to two neighbors and a coworker and a financial advisor, a CPA, and your trusted colleague who you went to school with, and they all say, oh, you need estate planning, you need to go see so-and-so because I went to so-and-so and I was very pleased with the results that I got. So that one's up there. Okay, and then a few other factors that I think are important. These days, you can research attorneys online. And so it's pretty easy for attorneys like myself to put information out there. And again, not tooting my own horn, but when you go Google an attorney, if you see a lot of content that was published by the estate planning attorney, and that could be in written form, it could be in video form, it could be in audio form in a podcast, but when you see a lot of content, it's kind of like you can get to know that attorney and form perhaps a good feeling about whether you would want to work with that attorney. So if there's a lot of content, educational type content that's out there, that's probably a good sign, because that means they take their business serious. And then you're gonna want to talk to the attorney, and so I want to clear up what I mean by that. What I don't suggest you do is talk to 12 different attorneys, each one for 2 hours apiece, and then make a decision. That borders on wasting too many attorneys' valuable time. But it is appropriate, I believe, to speak to an attorney either in their office or on the telephone. Not tooting my own horn, always prefacing that, but on our website, we have where you can schedule a 15-minute call with me. Right there, it takes you to my calendar, and so make myself available to do that. But when you speak to the attorney, it's real important that you speak in precise terms and tell them what you're trying to accomplish. So as concise and as clear as you can be on that, that's going to enable the attorney to get right to the point as to what you're trying to accomplish and maybe give you some potential strategies, some pros and cons of each, so that you can get a good feeling about whether you'd want to move forward with that attorney. Now, I will tell you, when you do talk to the attorney, I hear from other clients who come in my office, they said they talked to an attorney and they could not understand what that attorney was talking about. The conversation, as the client said, was over my head, is what they'd say. So when you hear attorneys and you talk about estate planning and they talk in terms of bypass trust, Q-tip trust, generation skipping transfer tax, Cuperts, charitable remainder trusts, and you don't have a clue as to what any of that is, then you're probably not talking to the right attorney. They ought to be able to speak on a level that you're very comfortable with. And quite frankly, some attorneys like to hear themselves talk too much. So if you get that feeling and you don't feel like the attorney is a good listener and question asker, then probably in the wrong office. So bottom line on all of that is need to trust your gut. But you need to take into consideration all those factors first and trust your gut. Now at this point, what I want you to do is make sure, because I'm putting these things out daily, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. If you felt like this provided you with some value, give it a thumbs up. And that way YouTube will do its thing to notify you as more educational content comes out. So I hope that helps you, you kind of overcome that procrastination. I don't want the I don't know how to hire an attorney to keep you from getting your estate legal affairs in order. So get this part behind you. Go seek out the right attorney. When you find one, hopefully you can develop a really good relationship that may last a few weeks, or it may last for many, many years. And you'll have this part of your kind of estate program in place. Okay, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.